Venezuela just took El Salvador and its concentration camp in the United States to the international courts. Watch this video, and I'll be right back.
The news is something that has been ongoing since last month. I'm going to drop the receipts. Buckle up.
Bukele no sea cómplice de este secuestro, porque nuestros muchachos no cometieron ningún delito en Estados Unidos, ninguno. No los llevaron a ningún juicio, no le dieron derecho a la defensa, derecho al debido proceso. Fueron engañados, esposados, montados en un avión, secuestrados y enviados a un campo de concentración en El Salvador.
So in March, he made a public calling to the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, demanding the release of the Venezuelan migrants. He puts emphasis on the fact that both the U.S. government and the Salvadoran government have refused to identify who was being housed there and the condition of these detainees. Because he did not receive a favorable result or communication from either government, he went farther up and has petitioned the international courts to intervene.
El presidente de Venezuela denuncia ante este foro una operación que busca, en flagrante violación del derecho internacional e incluso de obligaciones jurídicamente vinculantes, trasladar forzosamente a ciudadanos venezolanos que han migrado a este país como resultado de los efectos perniciosos generados por las más de 1,000 mal llamadas sanciones que desde al menos el año 2015 aplica el gobierno del país anfitrión contra nuestra nación. Esa operación con la que el gobierno estadounidense pretende catalogar unilateralmente a todo el pueblo venezolano como un enemigo y presunto terrorista, sin la existencia de evidencias de ningún tipo, y en la que se ha vulnerado su dignidad y derechos básicos, incluida la presunción de inocencia y el derecho a la defensa, así como el debido proceso, ha resultado en el traslado forzoso de cientos de connacionales a un centro de confinamiento en El Salvador. No se trata de una simple coincidencia el hecho de que estos connacionales hayan sido trasladados forzosamente a El Salvador, país donde nunca han cometido delito alguno. Y es que el gobierno del país anfitrión ha prometido una compensación económica de $6 millones al presidente salvadoreño por mantener secuestrados en su país a todos estos venezolanos. De allí que afirmamos que se trata de un claro acto de esclavitud moderna.
Ask yourself why this hasn't been all over the news.
And while that is happening, the South American countries had a summit and said this.
Las acciones emprendidas por el actual gobierno de Estados Unidos desafían el multilateralismo y el derecho internacional, al desconocer principios básicos como la convivencia pacífica y la igualdad soberana entre los estados.
Nuestros jóvenes se han convertido en migrantes que, buscando el sueño americano, hoy son expulsados masivamente de Estados Unidos.
Rechazamos y denunciamos la criminalización de la migración, así como la aplicación de políticas que fomentan deportaciones masivas y tratos inhumanos hacia las personas migrantes.
Rechazamos el racismo, el clasismo, la violación a los derechos humanos y la criminalización de hermanos de nuestro continente que por alguna causa han tenido la necesidad de emigrar hacia el norte.
Strange how we are not hearing this on American news. Really, really strange that we didn't hear that we are being charged for breaking international law. We are being charged with modern day slavery. Ain't that a bitch? The global south is rising, and I'm here for it. Let's go. Take our asses to the international court. Show the world how fucked up this country is to minorities. And I also have a feeling, deep down inside, maybe it's the ancestors talking, but one day, Africa will be strong enough to take America to the ICC for the treatment of Africans and people of African descent in this country.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming. Hello, Abby.
Where am I?
Yeah, I don't know. What's going on there? We got some technical difficulties, guys. Sorry. What else is new?
Yes, my second monitor isn't working. I don't know what's going on. I barely made it on time. I don't know what's happening.
That's all good.
But look, this is what I do want to say. I do want to say, shout out to Burkina Faso, because they had a little raccoon trying to gather them up, but that parliamentarian is giving them people free health care, free housing, taking care of his people, taking his resources back, and they are so mad. France is livid.
Yeah, well, not just Burkina Faso, but Mali and Niger.
Not just Burkina Faso.
Full alliance. Good for them. Yeah.
You're right. It's like, I'm so glad that so many of these countries are what they call it woke. They don't even know what woke means. but are waking up to the hypocrisy and the abuse. And they are saying no more.
Yeah. Well, I heard recently Ibrahim Traore, I think he's a leader of Mali, not Burkina Faso, but he's recently survived yet another assassination attempt. He's looking
He's
if he
definitely not the leader of Burkina Faso.
Yeah, but if he keeps surviving like this, he's gonna be like the 21st century Fidel Castro, surviving 600 assassination attempts because he's on his way.
You know
I
what
don't
they
know.
saying on social media? That that he was a dictator.
Yeah,
I said, huh?
That's gonna be the tactic that they're gonna be going with to bring him down. He's this authoritarian leader, just like these Middle Eastern dictators. He's like another Saddam Hussein kind of thing. They're just gonna completely demonize him for being a real freedom fighter as usual. So
Exactly. But we are here for it. We are standing with all of these people who are really trying to do something for the children of their country.
yeah.
And
Well,
I just wanted to say to Jacqueline, thank you, because girl, I ain't gonna lie, I've had a hard time. It's a lot. I don't know how you felt, Michael, but I felt, you know, like I'm about to crash out. If somebody say one thing to me, I'm
yeah.
crashing out.
Are real raw these days. You know, it seems like every time one thing is over and dealt with, there's just some another disaster that like we can't have a week or two of peace. You know, it's just one thing after another. So
And I think I have to leave and come back for my video to work because I don't know what's happening. So if you'll give me a little bit of grace to do that.
yeah, no problem.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, see ya. And hello, Lawrence Johnson. It's good to see you. I don't recall actually seeing you in our chat so far. So thank you for joining us. I finally made my way back to the internet world with uh, with the top of the month, May 1st. I managed to get my disability in to pay my bills, and so here I am. I'm back. I missed a whole week of news and everything, so I've only really caught up a little bit today from what I heard on Hardlands Media this morning, um, and just this Canadian election stuff that I had some time to do some research on. That's for me is the major story that I knew that I was missing. I did not vote myself. I didn't see it as anything worth doing, and the election results have kind of indicated that perspective. For a communist in Canada right now, anyway, there was no point whatsoever in voting for Liberal, Conservative, NDP, Green Party, even the Communist Party of Canada. I could have voted for, I maybe should have, but I felt it was not really going to be, it wouldn't even be worth my time to go all the way down to the polling office so that I can vote for a party that nobody even talks about or knows about. So I see we have some kind of troll, Bruce Andrews, nice liberal flag. Yeah, you calling my my communist Soviet flag liberal? Interestingly enough, I find people are so badly educated on communism that they think people like Carney are some kind of communist because they're buddy with China somehow, even though they're not, and like their housing plan that they're implementing is some kind of Soviet style government owns the means of production bullshit. It's completely bullshit to try and understand what the neoliberals are doing right now if you're trying to interpret that as communism, because it just really, you have to distort the facts and history so badly to fit that narrative that you just make a fool of yourself when you go around calling communist flags liberal flags and liberals communists, right? You just don't understand that who someone like Carney actually represents are the modern day Nazis. And that's not exaggeration, not hyperbole. That's what we're stuck with right now. People are so anti-communist and ignorant. It's a bad mixture that they're fully being played like a puppet by these Nazis. But as long as you just call them globalists, the WEF people, you don't even understand them. The problem is capitalists. You don't understand the Nazis are capitalists. Like that, you just don't. Like it's difficult to try and get through to you guys who aren't listening. So, see, we have another couple trolls probably coming in because of the election title about.
Well, Michael, look, the fact that we have trolls, thank you for showing up. Cause keep going, cause you really don't know how smart this young man is, and he will wipe the floor. He will dog walk you. So good luck with that. Good luck with trying to debate Michael Johnson. You will never win. You're gonna look stupid. I would actually love to send them a link and let them try their hardest. And yes, Black Life, I do need some help. I don't know what's going. I can't pull up any of the documents I wanted to show. My second monitor isn't working for some reason. My webcam isn't working. I don't know what's going on. So if you can come help me, that would be great.
Yeah,
anyway.
It'd be always good to have Black Life helping out. Shout out to her. Just briefly to address this comment rather than look like I'm running away from it or anything. When you talk about communists might work in the perfect world, as if that's some kind of silly, childish thing, you're not you're demonstrating your ignorance about communism, because it's all about having a practical approach to things, like a real world solution to a real world problem, not some kind of idealist pie in the sky. That's the liberal bullshit, right? That they just that what they're fighting for is some kind of dream that's not really realizable, and if they ever actually put it into practice, it turns out to be a nightmare. Really, I implore you to read some literature written by the actual communists instead of the propaganda written about communists. That's where I would encourage you to start.
And the thing, this is what they don't understand. Liberals are our enemies too, because liberals are adjacent to centrists. Like they're basically centrists, but they are so adjacent to right wing politics that they just fake it. They want to be comfortable for themselves while they see other people suffering. So yeah, we aren't liberals over here. No, baby, we all the way to the left, and we ain't moving from the left. We staying right over there to the left, as far left as we can get.
Yeah, there are no left-wing parties in Canada. I'm sorry to disappoint you if you're convinced that the Liberals are left-wing, but that is the major problem that we've been having in our electoral politics for the past several decades here. Any left that we have is an illusion. The NDP have betrayed socialists for a long time now. They took it out, any mention of socialism out of their charter. They've been decimated in this election, and they deserved it. Same thing with the Green Party, because what they felt they needed to do was destroy their own chances of winning. Like they wanted to throw the fight on purpose to let the Liberals win out of fear of conservatives winning. And that's this dead-end politics that we don't actually try to do anything for the left, because we're just afraid of trying to keep the boogeyman out. And then you fall for that lesser of two evils bullshit every time. That never works out for anyone who tries that. But as long as you are kind of voting for a party that's properly established for a long time, has enough money to actually run a professional campaign, then you can convince yourself that that's better than trying to support like a more like grassroots or like a unpopular communist party, because it feels ridiculous to try and give them, like, consider them to have any credibility when they don't seem to have any chances of winning the entire thing. It's not about winning the whole election. It's about gaining some couple bit of incremental power to be able to have a little bit of like a kingmaker influence, which is what the NDP and the Greens and the Bloc Québécois have been able to do. They have more power than it looks, even though they're smaller parties, because they can kind of give a conservative or a liberal government a victory or not. Like they can, when things are close, they can be the decider, right? So what we need to have is a communist in that role, as opposed to these milquetoast so-called socialists, right? The people who preach that they care about the environment but then support war.
So to be fair, CS is saying he's not trolling. He just doesn't. He just disagrees. He or she. I'm not sure.
I apologize for considering a troll.
And that's fine. But we got to talk about it, because you could disagree, but you really got to come with some. Huh? Oh, sorry. Black Life is trying to help me. You gonna open that other computer?
Yeah, I would agree that if we automatically label anyone against our ideas as trolls, it does make our point weaker. And yes, communism in a perfect world with non-corruptible people would be ideal, but we don't. I gather from what you're saying here that you are in a sense, at least theoretically, like pro-socialist. You're not opposed to it in theory. What you're have trouble with is understanding how we can actually make it viable. And I also struggle with this. My own cynicism and pessimism makes it difficult for me to have that revolutionary optimism that's kind of required in these difficult times that we're in. I know it sounds difficult just because how like propagandized people are, and like just more supportive of capitalism, willing to continue to give it a second chance no matter how badly it performs and stuff like this. It's the reason why I support communism is because when you look at the programs side by side, you understand what this system is for society and what that system is for society. Communism is the one that is undeniably better for the people. It would be economically more sensible and sound. So I don't think it makes sense to stop arguing for that because we're in a particular period of history where people have no hope.
But when you're in a society where they call both centrists, the right and the left, the radical left and the radical right, like, and they're both the same fucking people. So when you are being psychologically programmed to believe one cult is more radical than the other, it's really hard to see the forest for the trees. So CS, we're gonna give you grace, because there are trolls that come in here, and if you're saying you're not a troll, you just have a different opinion, okay, we'll talk to you. That's not a problem. We believe in free speech. Just make sure you can hold your own.
I think the troll here was this Bruce Andrews guy, and he has probably already left by now. So it's good to have you here, CS, for some constructive dialogue. Maybe we can engage in a dialectic with you if you like.
Yep. And hey, John H.
Yeah, good to see you, John H.
My comrade. Look, how much did you pay for those damn groceries? I know they was high. Ooh, that grocery bill is just skyrocketed.
Yeah, well, I managed to have lower bills than you might think. Like I just paid $133 for my last grocery trip, but I have cut down on everything non-essential. I'm not really buying like snacks. I'm basically buying. I have to make my own food, buy everything from scratch, and that helps me save money. But meat is killing me right now. I can't afford the meat.
If I put my computer over here, it'll do all right.
No, you need to use that one.
It ain't coming on. The light on the side.
Oh, okay. Black Life is trying to help me to admin, but the other computer ain't coming on. Is Mercury in retrograde? What the hell is going on?
I'm saying your light is on, but hold up.
The light is on. It looks like it's power, but it's not coming on.
Maybe I was pressing the wrong thing. My power button is there.
I can't even show you my avatar, Michael. I don't know what's happening over here.
Yeah.
But whatever, we just gonna keep on pushing. But I can't pull up. You know how I sent you that email with all like the stuff that I wanted to talk about?
Sent me a text. I didn't see an email. Maybe I checked.
Maybe a text, whatever. But I tried to send it to myself so I could be prepared. And I don't know what's going on with these computers.
Yeah,
I think I was just pressing the wrong thing.
You think what?
My power button is here. I think I was just pressing the wrong button. See how your power button is here?
Yes.
It's not over here. It's right over there.
Okay.
All right. Well, maybe we should.
Okay, so let's get back to so CS said you could do a lot with. Okay, I'm glad you just said that, CS, because my mom said the same shit to me, talking about. I said, Mama, it's getting the money getting tight. Well, you could do a lot by stretching beans. And I said, I know damn well you ain't trying to eat beans every day of the week for the next 2-3 months. You would be so upset about that. As much as your palate wants variety, like it sounds good in practice, but that's not reality, CS. Come on now.
You gotta be real ascetic, real smart to be able to kind of put up with that. It takes a lot of discipline. So a lot of us are maybe, I don't think it's right to call it spoiled to be eating all 4 food groups, right? But like I get what you're saying, beans and rice is one of those things that like people who work out and stuff that's the diet that they choose because it's like rich in the protein that they need and not heavy in those bad carbohydrates and stuff. So I'm like, as much as it's about saving some money, it's also about just doing the right thing for your health is to
have like have different spices for your like turmeric and cinnamon, different things that your body will take and absorb. And then he says, look at Indian cuisine. Indian cuisine is the spiciest. They have the most variety of spices aside from African cuisine. So what are you talking about? You confusing me now. But
Yeah.
Hey, Sean. Hey, Sean.
Good to see you, Sean. Always good to see you. Thank you again for that. Sent me another donation I saw on my Ko-fi there. I should maybe, well, I'll do it later. I can pitch it a little bit at the end. But yeah, I appreciate that. That's much needed at this time there. I kind of dig myself out of the hole, right? So as far as
thank you, Sean, for supporting my dude. My brother just lost his job. Like, what was it? What did I tell you, Michael? Was it 2 days ago or yesterday?
Yeah,
very recently. And so now I have to support him, rent, food, all kind of stuff until he finds another job. So now I'm down bad. But Jacqueline says, and it's not just food, it's the non-edible groceries that have to be bought. Correct. The tissue, the paper towels, all the stuff.
The saran wrap.
All the stuff.
Sometimes you actually have
all
to
the things.
Your dishes, like you can't just use your Teflon thing when it's all scratched up or whatever, sometimes you got to actually replace stuff. So, hello, Wesley. Good to see you. Just wanted to show you that right there.
Hi, Wesley.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you. Oh, CS is leaving us. Okay, before you go, CS. Okay, he says he has to go. He or she, I'm not even sure. I'm not trying to miss, I don't particularly agree with that communists could work, but I respect your fight. Take care. Oh, well come back, CS.
Yeah, I hope you come back and we could actually talk about exactly why you think that communism could not work, because there are obviously, obviously there are things that communists maybe have not been doing correctly in the past little while, and you like, as much as we could argue that it's capitalists' fault that we've been failing, if we can figure out what to do to get to the right, back onto the right path, then maybe we could make it work. And we need discussions about what makes it work and what not work in order to figure that stuff out. So.
And hopefully you're still here for me to make this comment about how capitalist countries have purposely destabilized communist countries to make it seem like it wouldn't work. So when you keep that in mind, then you have to wonder, why are they trying to sabotage these countries so hard to make sure their country thrives?
Exactly. Yeah. And when we're talking about communism working or not working, we're disregarding, we're not even talking about does capitalism work? If it works, what does that mean? Does it actually work for all classes, or is it working like it's intended to, as a well-oiled murderous machine? And I think that's what's really happening. So when people say that there is no alternative, you're essentially saying that there's no way out of this madness that we've become locked in. And I guess we're just going to become extinct because we can't do better than this. And that's some bullshit, I'd say.
Well, Wesley said it best. Communism might stand a better chance if it wasn't thwarted and undermined at every turn by murderous capitalists.
100%.
Thank you, Wesley.
See, that's the main thing.
Mr. Thomason.
People are dismissing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, we were just talking over each other at the same time. Go ahead.
That's what people are leaving out of the conversation when they're trying to just compare the systems to, like, saying, like, communism as an economic system doesn't work. The reason why capitalism is effective is because it is coercive and oppressive, and it kills people who do not follow, submit, follow the law that shouldn't have ever been made law, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't know if we're going to get to some content here, or we could keep.
No, you can get into content, because for some reason I can't pull up anything, and I know you want to talk about Canada's Canada cutting up. I've been seeing it. Canada's cutting up, baby. And you said you wanted to talk about it, so we could talk about it. I just can't pull up all my stuff. And Black Life is over here barely. It ain't even coming on. The computer not coming on. Damn. Well, you tried. Thank you.
Well,
I want to tell them that I'm coming back next Tuesday.
You can still tell them. Okay, go ahead. Make it bigger, Michael.
Yeah. Good to hear your voice there, Tasha. And were you saying you may be thinking about Black Life coming back for Tuesday, or that would be nice?
Oh, he heard everything you said.
Just a little bit.
So he said it's good to hear your voice, and glad to hear Black Life is coming back on Tuesday.
If that's your intention.
If that's your intention. No, that's her intention.
Yep.
Cool.
I just said don't say it consistently, because let me just say this before you get into. Let me just explain this to the people.
Sure, yeah.
Black life has, in the last 3 weeks, how many children have been murdered or committed suicide or had an accidental death at the schools that you service, and you have to just be there for the teachers and the students. How many weeks?
It's
It had to be
been
for the last month and a half.
Yeah,
Like every week.
yeah. It's been
It's a
pretty
lot.
hard.
It's a lot. And they don't even realize, like, so then you have to bring that pain home, because who's going to help you but me or my mom or like a friend?
It's extremely heavy.
It's a heavy burden to carry, ain't it?
Yeah, man, because you don't expect all that grief. Like, that was pretty much the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life, to see people that love a kid.
Wait, let me give you the mic.
I was just saying, like, this kid died in a tragic accident. And to see the teachers fall apart, like the principal called all of the teachers in the room together, and I am the prevention specialist. I pretty much waited until my supervisor came in because I didn't want to be the one to break the news to the teachers. The principal was strong enough to tell the teachers, and when she did, they broke down. And it was screaming, and they hit the floor.
The way you told me how they hit the floor and was rolling around on the floor,
it was like
crying.
A black church. It's like going to a black church when people get the Holy Spirit and stuff. That's what it reminded me of. It was like uncontrollable.
And they were screaming, "Not him, Lord, not him!"
Right. And then the principal couldn't say it to the students. So thank God my supervisor came in, and she was able to communicate it to the 7th graders, because it was a 7th grade kid. And I saw her, which gave me the confidence to be able to say it and talk about it with the other groups. And then it was my turn to tell the 2nd graders. And some of them, like their older sibling was friends with the kids, so they knew him. Now you tell me, what would you do if you had to tell 2nd graders that somebody they knew was no longer here? You know what I'm saying? That shit was like, holy shit. I was like, God damn, this is hard. But I did it. They asked their little questions. And then I'm used to seeing girls break down and cry, if something happens, because girls are more emotional. As cliche as, but it's the truth. I'm not used to seeing little boys who have this stoic, hard exterior, like literally break down into tears and like uncontrollable crying. I'm not used to seeing that stuff, man. But it's a part of life. And I was telling them, this is proof of how much you matter. Those of you who are still here, this is proof of how much you matter, because God forbid if anything would have happened to any one of you, look at the reaction. You feel what I'm saying? Like look at the reaction of your peers, of your teachers. It's devastating. So you matter.
And I'm gonna say one last thing. That was a kid who
was awesome.
who passed away in an accident on a vacation. She's not even talking about the kids who got
violent guns.
Yes, who got shot and killed because they were bullying or was being bullied.
And then suicide kids.
And suicide, yes.
And not to
It's
mention
a lot.
Teachers. There have been a couple of teachers and educators who's
We
passed
should
away.
probably
Okay, I'm moving.
we should probably wrap this. I
That's okay.
don't want to
Thank
sound so.
Thank you for sharing that, Tosh. That's sorry to hear that.
I know somebody gotta do it.
And I'm like, I love kids. I love y'all kids, people. And I will help any kind of way that I can.
Yeah, so we're gonna move on from that because that's a lot to be giving people.
Yeah, but we have to. We should honor this person, this child's memory there. It did happen. So it's unfortunate. It's sad news. Sorry to inconvenience people with a bit of sadness for the day, but that like Tosh said, that boy's life mattered. So
Right, they all did. All of them. Okay, so let's just regroup and get to your article.
yeah, or I could maybe see if there's a video that reads the article, so we won't have to sit here and read. I'll try and maybe play that, and if it's not too glitchy, then we can do that instead. So I just wanted to kind of showcase a little bit of what kind of a monster we've just had installed as our leader, because people
Oof.
want to pretend as if this was such a democratic, like person who actually had real support. This was very fishy.
Can you make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, I'm gonna say, "Hey, Mousy."
Oh, hey, Mouse. Good to see you. Good to have you here. There.
Always a pleasure.
So what I was saying is this election was very suspicious for me because before Justin Trudeau stepped down and Carney stepped in, the Conservatives had a huge polling lead over the Liberals. So it looked as it like quite inevitable until the last couple of months that Conservatives were going to be the next. There was going to be Pierre Poilievre was going to be the next prime minister. And so this is a snap election with a 180-degree change in result, and that's just not very genuine to me. It doesn't seem like I understand the narrative that they've gone with. It's quite a good sell. It's good propaganda, I would say, that they're arguing that Canadians seeing Trump get elected and this trade war that he started have had a quick change of heart in considering a conservative government who would likely bend over backwards even easier for the Trump administration. And so that motivates them to turn coat yet again and support the Liberals in spite of the disaster that they've led for the past, 10 years or whatever that they've been in power. So it's just really, it's, I don't like when you look into how Carney's like a former Bank of England governor and former Bank of Canada guy. He's been there behind the scenes for all these crises, like 2008 crisis and everything up from then and before then, even up until now. So he's basically one of these people responsible for like managing those crashes. Like people act like that's a good thing, like because he was he helped us navigate through that crisis and kept us stable, whatever. It's like, no, these are the incompetent fools that were in charge during that crisis that caused that crisis, and we're going to trust them yet again because we're in a crisis now. And you think that maybe they learned something, but when you actually inspect what they are saying that they want to do, they haven't learned a goddamn thing. This guy literally believes that like capitalism just needs a couple tweaks and like have that green capitalism and everything will be fine. I don't know if he literally believes that, but that's like the image that he portrays himself, or that's the bullshit that he tries to sell us with. So and when my main problem right now is the housing crisis. Personally, for like what I need to see my politicians, my leaders solving as soon as possible. I guess the trade war is a big deal, right? But we had a massive problem with our housing crisis to begin with. And so we find people like Mark Carney, this is what this started kind of going a long-winded introduction for this, but Mark Carney's housing scheme here is Trudeau's housing scheme. He hasn't really changed anything. He is literally just Trudeau 2.0, right? He's all the same cabinet ministers, the same people that were backing Trudeau, they just found a face that people don't hate, don't want to punch as much. But if they understood who he actually is, then they understand that this guy's face is exactly as punchable as Trudeau's, if not more. So without further ado here, this is from Juno News. I think it's a bit of a right-leaning publication.
Earlier this week, Liberal leader Mark Carney introduced what the Liberals and the Liberal media called the most ambitious housing plan in Canada since the Second World War.
We used to build things in this country. After the Second World War, Canada faced a housing crisis. The government built prefabricated homes that were easy to assemble and inexpensive. And those homes are still here 80 years later. Now we're in another housing crisis. And it's time your government got back into the business of building affordable homes. We will build new homes for Canadians at a pace not seen since the Second World War. We'll build a Canada you can afford.
Ambitious. That's one way of putting it. Many conservatives rightly criticize this program as being a Soviet-style system, or flat out.
Okay, we had a little bit of a glitch there. I hope I'm showing low.
Do you want to send
connection
the video? You want to send the video to me in a private chat?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So there, I thought it was worth trying out my computer, seeing how it's doing, seeing if I can maybe share some video, but I still have issues I have to work on when I can find some time. So
Okay.
I see Mouse has a new record. Yeah, go buy Mouse's new record. Is that called Tasty Box? Is that the name of the album? Yeah, I'll try and remember. I'll check that out. I don't have money to buy one, but hopefully I'll be able to listen to it at least. Sorry, a bit distracted there. So yeah, just that lady definitely showing her anti-communist colors. She's trying to say that Carney's system is a Soviet-style thing, that this is just Canadian communism or whatever. Government owning the means of production of the house, of building houses, even though it's a public-private corporation, which is actually a fascist kind of thing.
Well, I'm about to play it for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Earlier this week, Liberal leader Mark Carney introduced what the Liberals and the Liberal media called the most ambitious housing plan in Canada since the Second World War.
We used to build things in this country. After the Second World War, Canada faced a housing crisis. The government built prefabricated homes that were easy to assemble and inexpensive. And those homes are still here 80 years later. Now we're in another housing crisis. And it's time your government got back into the business of building affordable homes. We will build new homes for Canadians at a pace not seen since the Second World War. We'll build a Canada you can afford.
Ambitious. That's one way of putting it. Many conservatives rightly criticize this program as being a Soviet-style system, or flat-out communism. That is, after all, what you call a system where the government owns the means of production. So rather than Canadian businesses, entrepreneurs, and home builders managing and building these new homes, Carney's plan has government bureaucrats doing it. Here is what Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre had to say about it.
He wants to put the Liberal policies on steroids. His housing plan, I don't know if you saw this earlier this week, he wants to create a government-run construction company that is going to make prefab tiny homes with no parking spots. This is his idea for housing. This is even more radical than the stuff that came from Stephen Guilbeault and Justin Trudeau over the last 10 years. This is not a serious plan to protect our economy and break our dependence.
Tiny homes, no parking spaces. Does that sound appealing to you? But these criticisms miss a deeper, far more concerning problem. Yes, Carney's announcement seems like another silly leftist scheme, a classic top-down, rule-by-experts, big government solution. But when we dig into the details, this isn't just another leftist gimmick. Juno News has found a worrying connection. Mark Carney could personally make millions or even billions of dollars from this housing scheme. Let's dig into the details of the housing plan. Here it is on the Liberal Party's website. So this is what they want to do. They want to build 500,000 new housing units per year. They want to create a new government agency called Build Canada Homes, or BCH, which will be a public-private partnership. Now, that's an important detail. They want to act as a developer to build affordable housing at scale, including on public lands. They want to provide over $25 billion in financing to build prefabricated homes in Canada. They want to provide another $10 billion in low-cost financing and capital to affordable home builders. So government bureaucrats will manage the project, but private
Maybe
interests
just
will
pause it
build it.
there briefly.
The scheme will give $25 billion in loans,
So that
another
we can
$10 billion in
touch on
more
some of
low.
what she just said. So she's saying, because I saw Jacqueline was saying they can't build prefabricated homes again. So like a lot of these ideas aren't necessarily bad ideas in theory, but the problem is how they intend to implement it. The devil's in the details, right? So what they intend to do is, as you heard there, give like 25 billion into what they're calling affordable home builders, right? So they want to give money to the landlords and the construction corporations, so the bourgeois people, right? So that's how they're going to solve the crisis, is to build these rental units, right? So it's like we need a program like that Second World War program when they built homes rapidly. We need that building to happen. What we don't need is the predatory financialization of that infrastructure, making it not affordable. So that's the whole thing at the end of the day, is this is not going to be affordable housing, because if it's affordable housing, landlords can't make money off of it. So they're going to, like, we have housing now that's not affordable, like rental properties that we're spending the majority of our income on, right? So unless you're going to actually go after the landlord class and reduce their profits, you don't want to solve the housing crisis. So,
so Michael, I'd like to post this. John H. asked, what is our cash out? And that's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Right now, I'm not in a great situation, but I'm in a better situation than Michael at the moment. So I want Mike to put his GoFundMe up.
yeah, I'm just gonna call it up real quick.
Yeah, call it up real quick. And thank you so much, John H., for asking, because we try not to ask, but
yeah, appreciate that.
Share, and subscribe.
I don't like asking people for money, but I do kind of need to for the time being, because I just forget what my damn account password and what email I used and what the password is and everything. So bear with me here. There we go.
You remember your from me?
They always make you pick a new
It's on Discord. I can find it.
Everything. So here it is. I just had to sign into it and stuff.
Okay.
So, there we go.
And the exchange rate is crazy too. And Kill Your Egregores is here. Hi.
Thank you for dropping in. Always good to see you guys.
I hope I didn't sound so annoying with that voice.
No worries. I've been missing you guys because I've been just without internet. So this last week I've just been watching like movies and documentaries and whatever I got stored on my computer, and trying to read this damn book that I should have had finished by now. Okay, this Lenin on trade unions. It's been very informative. I feel like I wish more people would be able to read that.
And you know, I went to the library to try to rent the book out, and it's not in copy at the library in Louisiana. And I was just like, why? They're like, oh no, the only way you can get it is to buy it. And I'm like, oh, that's how they censor books.
Yeah, like that's why it's actually important for us to push communist literature for people, because it's always been censored, but like the censorship's only getting worse nowadays. And the theory in the book, even though it's like 100 years old, often at times, like this Lenin book here, literally is completely still applicable to today. Like it's these things that we're doing wrong. We don't understand what we're doing wrong because we haven't read Lenin and that kind of thing. Not to say that everything that Lenin is saying is what applicable to our particular situation here and now, especially in Canada. I find it's difficult to try and have like a Russian Revolution going on right now, but that doesn't mean that we can't learn something from Lenin. Like we have a big problem with trade unionism. Like the conservatives who are cozying up to the working class and they're taking pictures with union people and stuff in this election. And that's an example of how weak our unions are and how ignorant people are to believe that that the conservatives actually have anything good in mind for the working class, as if they actually want to help us. It's a complete misreading of their intentions. And if we had read Lenin, we would understand that this type of betrayal is exactly what you can expect from like just a trade unionist without like a social democratic kind of like guiding political party. Like people have spurned this socialist, social democratic approach, and it's fatal, right?
And we missed a few questions. I kind of like that we're still small enough that we can actually address each and every comment. I really like that.
Yeah.
But you know, you're supposed to want to, you know, get big and full of followers and be an influencer. But I kind of like my little group.
Well,
So
we need that's part of what to touch back on the book there. It's these circles that we need to be forming. It's actually really important. So there's a lot of a lot of discussion over who, like, what's a real revolutionary, who qualifies, and we should not be afraid to have a distinction between a real revolutionary and people that are maybe sympathetic or helpful to revolutionaries. Like they're like, we all have kind of a role to play. So we need to have people that are in the party and outside of the party, right? You need both. So we need these circles of people who are socialist minded, communist or anarchist, right? We need these circles to communicate with each other and to figure out like who we can work with that isn't like, not everyone's going to be a radical revolutionary, and that's something.
Which is why we said, CS, come back.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna show your link again, and with the support of Sean. That's my dog. He says, Michael, never be ashamed for asking for help. Everyone needs help at some point.
Exactly.
It's that's easier said than done. We barely can ask for a like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah. Well, but that's because of this.
But he's right.
There's reasons why I don't like doing that, because we're not really helping people in the big picture to just apply this like social psychological engineering in such a careless kind of way. I would rather encourage people to have free will, as opposed to try and like say like we need to use these tactics because the enemy does. So But then again, like not being big enough to be even heard at all, that doesn't exactly help you. So you can't have that purity fetish that those Midwestern Marx guys talk about. As much as I disagree with them on certain things, I think that is something that does happen. People do have that purity fetish problem.
Mousy makes a really good point that, like, if you start out in small circles, they grow.
Right.
And
it's for operational
maybe,
security.
Maybe those small circles create other small circles. And it's like a ripple in a river. So don't count yourself out.
I mean, you need to be working with people you trust, right? So the big tent approach is nice, but it's like if you want to have your organization completely infiltrated by, police, CIA, like
ops,
all of them, right? The more open and accepting you are, anyone can join as long as they're interested in. That's exactly how you destroy your movement from the beginning, by being completely naive about how much discipline is required for this struggle, right?
That is so interesting. You said it just reminds me of a quote from Muhammad Ali. He was like, now I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, if I had 10,000 snakes like barreling towards me and 1,000 of those snakes were nice, am I supposed to sacrifice my life, my being, just for the 1,000 snakes when there's 10,000 amongst them? No, I'm fighting all them goddamn snakes.
Exactly. It's well said.
Shoot, I have a right to be scared and defend
that's the
myself.
thing about liberals, essentially, right? Like they maybe could have been our allies had they not been ultimately just part of that group of snakes, just the kind that wants to like stab you in the back instead of the front, right? The one that wants to, like the fox versus the wolf quote, the one that smiles with cunning is the one that's more dangerous.
Yeah, the one that's smiling in your face and will stab you behind. Stab me in the heart, please. Don't stab me behind my back. Let me know who you are. Like, have some self-respect with the hate in your heart. Anyway, look, we talked. We talked. I don't know how long about. We only got one article out the way.
Yeah, let's get that video playing a bit more.
Oh, okay, okay.
Even though she's anti-communist, moron, conservative, the funny thing is how they still make good points. Just they don't realize. It's like the way that conservatives attack liberals and liberals attack conservatives, right? You like broken clocks right twice a day kind of thing. They're right to expose how they're trying to personally profit from this crisis instead of actually fix it, but they don't understand that that's criticizing capitalists for their bourgeois behavior, not communists. It's just ironic.
Okay, I'm gonna go back just a little bit.
Okay.
Financing and capital to affordable home builders. So government bureaucrats will manage the project, but private interests will build it. The scheme will give $25 billion in loans, another $10 billion in more low-interest loans and capital, the distribution of which is not stated, and finally $1 billion in equity financing, which basically just means free handouts to developers. And here is where we get to the most alarming part. When we look at the full report again on the Liberal Party website, it's very clear from this document that Mark Carney's plan is to build rental units. Now let's go to the details from the longer report. I'll read here. It says, we will reintroduce a tax incentive which, when originally introduced in the 1970s, spurred tens of thousands of rental housing across the country. Known as the Multiple Unit Rental Building Cost Allowance, this policy helped produce nearly 200,000 units in 7 years between 1974 and 1981. It goes on to say, we will facilitate the conversion of existing structures into affordable housing units by reducing the tax liability for private owners of multi-purpose rental when they sell their building to a nonprofit operator, land trust, or nonprofit acquisition fund, so long as the proceeds are reinvested in building new purpose-built rental housing units. The background document mentions the word rental 4 times, but does not once state the word home ownership. Toronto housing expert Ron Butler pointed out this disturbing detail on social media. Here's what he wrote on X. Carney's housing plan. This stuff is totally nuts. Important fact, the word home ownership appears nowhere. Yep, a housing plan without anyone buying homes. I have read every word of the explainer on the website. Well, so did I. The whole document does not say home ownership at all, but it does.
Can I just stop for 1 second and ask you, do you see a correlation between like BlackRock? Is it BlackRock?
I'm glad you said that. Actually, yes, that's something I
Okay.
looked into. Because she's
the way they just hold on to housing on purpose to bring the prices up, and these houses are vacant on purpose. It's like they're evil. They're kind of like devils.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know.
Yeah. They're addicted to that parasitical making use of other people working for their money so that they can give it to you, and that's what you call your work, right? So if that's not a devil, devils don't exist. So
Well, when I say devil, I mean like an evil.
Yeah, no, I know.
Inhumane human being. That's what I mean.
No, that's exactly. It's like not to people get supernatural when you use those kind of words. They think you're talking about some literal like spirit possessing somebody, but when you're more of a secular kind of atheist, we don't necessarily use those words the same way. Like we're just
Okay. Well,
but like someone like Netanyahu, to call him something less than a devil or a demon, it doesn't really seem fitting, right? Like there are people who have achieved like human evil, right? Like they
human
are
demon status.
Yeah.
And I'm not a religious person either, so I don't really believe in angels and devils like that either. I do believe in people who have passed over to the other realm still having the ability to influence you in some type of way, to talk to you or give you some guidance. I believe in that. But that don't make them an angel. That just makes them a human being that's moved to a different realm.
Yeah.
I guess if that makes sense.
There's this other conception of hell that's hell is more of like a state of mind. Same thing with heaven, right? It's something that is more achieved like in the here and now in this world. It's not something.
Yes, a lot of Black people believe hell is on earth, and we were taught that we had to wait for our heaven when we died. That's the only way we could achieve heaven, when we already living in hell. And
Right.
and they told us, oh, but if you don't conform to this and do that, you're going to hell, and heaven awaits you. And
That's
really, we already living in hell.
Right, but that's like a Gnostic. If you look into what Gnosticism is actually about, that's kind of what it is. At like when you get to its core, it's this belief that this plane of existence is like a dystopia. At the end of the day, it's a living hell, and we can only hope to escape it in the afterlife, kind of thing. I can reject that. I think that's part of the reason why like people think that communism doesn't work, because people are kind of convinced that we're living in hell on earth. And when you become convinced that that's the reality you actually live in your mind. But in I don't think that the world is actually a hell, but if we believe it is, then it might as well be, because it can't tell the difference.
The damn sure ain't a heaven.
Yeah, but it could be.
I
That's the
guess
thing.
depending on how you
Change
ask.
that mindset. We can get enough people to actually stop believing in the hell and creating it through that belief, then the opposite could potentially happen, where we could actually create not a utopia, but I don't know if we have the word for it. Like we could actually create a paradise, right?
Okay. Well, you better tell your people, because
Exactly, right. We have to. It is.
they're like 10% of the global population,
Yeah.
and do 95% of the colonizing and evil. Okay, I want to say this. Yanina, hi. Girl, I am such a cat person. I am such a cat person.
And I miss my cat.
The way I love my little videos. And you had a cat, Michael?
I used to have cats. That's what I was saying. I miss my cats, but
And now you got
dog
Bella.
for a while. So
And now you got Bella.
yeah, I'm gonna be a dog person for a couple of years now. I had decades a cat for like a couple cats for like a decade at least. So
I just see why, like, ancient Egyptians thought cats were goddesses, because that's how they walk around. Like, shit, that's my shit. They are so bigoted.
yeah. Cat. There's no such thing as a cat that has a problem with self-esteem. I think.
Not one. They are hilarious. And the way they pull up all bigoted and just, ooh, I love me a cat, baby. But anyway, you have another. Oh, should I go back to the?
Yeah, we can go back to the video.
Okay.
I just got one more comment here.
Okay.
John was saying, I think Billy Carson was just talking about the other day, manifesting a better reality by believing it instead of dwelling too much on negative propaganda. I think that's part of the equation for achieving revolution, but this idea that we just need to have a revolution of consciousness is a little too much of idealism for me and not materialism. We need to improve our mindset, but we need to be grounded in material conditions. We need to recognize there are actual things on the ground that need to change. We can't just change our mind and everything will then magically.
Yeah. So it just feels easier said than done.
Yeah, but it is an element. Like you think you're going to fix the material conditions if you're so cynical and toxic and.
But it's also something. But oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
It's also something that I think you and I would love to aspire to, but don't really see it practically. You know what I mean? Are you going to get the?
That's the hard part.
Huh?
Translating to action.
I'll be right back.
Yep. Yanina tells everybody that her empress is high. and I bet she is. I bet she is a goddamn empress. Okay, so let me go back a little bit, and
yeah, we don't maybe need to play this whole thing. We're already kind of just getting only the one article out, and I wanted at least to mention a few things like about BlackRock, like you mentioned. So this company that Carney's going to profit from, this Brookfield Asset Management, BlackRock has shares in this Brookfield company that are now our prime minister, newly elected prime minister, is set to profit from, same way as BlackRock is set to profit from this housing scheme. So you can go ahead, and I shouldn't have gone on so long. But yeah.
No, you're fine. I just remember when I sold my home, I got like 3 offers. 2 were from companies, that actually offered me a little bit over my asking price. And my realtor was like, well, they're corporations, so you're guaranteed it, it's gonna go through or whatever. But then there's this lady, a mother, and she wrote me a card about how much it would mean to her if I just gave her a chance. And yeah, he was like, but if her deal falls through, then you got to go back to the drawing board. And I said, fuck it, give it to the mother. And it went through, but even if it didn't, I would have just had to take that chance. Because ain't no way I was going to sell my house to a corporation that I knew was just going to hold on to the house and do ill will.
Yeah. Well, good for you that you made that decision. Most people, I think, they don't have the like the integrity to make the choice that they would make less money, but they actually do in the long run the better thing for society in general. That's what's made like Canada and a lot of like the US, that's what ruins the country. Selfish, greedy bastards. So
Yeah, and also I was lucky enough to be in a position where I could say that. You know what I mean?
yeah, some people feel they don't have a choice. They need to go for the bigger payout. I understand.
Yeah, and it's fucking sad, and I hate it. I hate that. I hate it. But
Economic coercion's
if you can, please take the other route, please, and thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going back to the vid.
Yeah, let's get some video
Okay.
after it.
All right.
Does say rent.
Go back a little bit.
There's nowhere. Yep. A housing plan without anyone buying homes. I have read every word of the explainer on the website. Well, so did I. The whole document does not say home ownership at all, but it does say rental several times. So the goal of Carney's housing scheme is not for Canadians to own homes. The plan is to build homes for Canadians to rent. Remember the World Economic Fund goal for the future? Own nothing and be happy? Perhaps that is Mark Carney's goal for Canada. We own nothing. He and his wealthy friends control everything. So according to Mark Carney's plan, who's going to own these homes? Who will our new landlord be? Could it be Mark Carney's former company, Brookfield Asset Management, the one he moved its headquarters from Toronto to New York City to appease Donald Trump? Well, Brookfield does have a property leasing division that operates in Canada. If you go onto Brookfield's own website, they describe this entire division of their company. Here, I'll read from their website. Brookfield Properties, which is a subsidiary of Brookfield Property
That was ironic.
Partners,
Do you see that?
itself under Brookfield
You want to
Asset
just
Management,
rewind it a bit?
manages a diverse portfolio that
comment.
includes office, rental, logistics, hospitality.
You had this comment here about manifestation, conscious thought multiplied by action, and that was literally the if you can, I think I see it in the background there. It's envisioning the possible, making it a reality kind of thing. That's literally like the capitalist taking this Bill Carson's formula and using it to do more evil, right? I just thought that was ironic.
Here, I'll read from their website. Brookfield Properties, which is a subsidiary of Brookfield Property Partners, itself under Brookfield Asset Management, manages a diverse portfolio that includes office, rental, logistics, hospitality, and multifamily residential properties. Their multifamily residential focus involves owning, developing, and leasing apartment buildings, condominiums, and similar units, primarily in high-demand urban markets across North America. They manage over 42,000 multifamily units worldwide, with over 9,000 more units in development. So unlike Brookfield Residential, which builds and sells homes, Brookfield Property retains and manages properties for rental income. According to their website, in Canada, Brookfield Properties operates multifamily rentals in cities like Toronto and Vancouver. In the US, Brookfield Properties manages over 100 residential communities across 21 states. Brookfield Residential is a North American land developer and home builder headquartered in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and is a subsidiary of Brookfield Asset Management. Their core business is land development and home building, where they design, construct, and sell single-family homes, townhomes, and multifamily units like condos and apartments to buyers or investors. As of their 2023 annual report, Brookfield Residential reported controlling approximately 74,000 single-family units across the US and Canada, with total assets valued at $5.2 billion. Earlier this year, Brookfield acquired 2,165 apartments in San Francisco, making it the city's largest landlord. So
You basically get the point, I guess.
I just want to say this. Okay, Sean, I went to a like a holding company. That's what you're talking about, basically. So I'm just going to read out loud. A company under a company under a company sounds like a scam to me. So a holding company can own multiple companies. And so you will never be able to get access to the evil son of a bitch at the top of the chain of that goddamn holding company. Because they have so many ways that you would have to try to get to them. By the time you spend your money, it's over with.
Yeah. Well, I think this company, this Brookfield Asset Management, they are like a hedge fund, and they have like $1 trillion worth of investments that they're managing globally and stuff, and they work in what they're calling alternative assets. It sounds like alternative facts to me, but so they're basically selling financial services to people to make a lot of, like, they're one of these people that provides like private capital access and stuff. So just the worst kind of people, really, like the exact people that are the problem. People just gonna pretend like he's something more than just a puppet, like he's a glove being worn by somebody else's hand. He's not some kind of, you know, smart, capable person worthy of leading a country. So
Antediluvian Atheist is here.
hey, good to see you there.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Okay, so should I go back to it, or?
No, I think we, for the sake of time, I wanted to kind of just touch on something different here.
Do you need to send it to me in a private? Is it a video or?
No, this one's just a brief little article, just to kind of mention the.
So you could send it. You could do it yourself. Okay.
Yeah, it's just to. I always like to ask myself, so is this guy a Freemason? Is this guy a Freemason? Right, just to see what comes up when you search for that, and it seems to me that yes, this guy indeed is yet another Freemason leader of a country. This article is from 2014, though, from freemasonrywatch.org. So I don't know if that's an anti-Masonic or a Masonic publication, but whatever. Just says the Bilderberg Group strikes again. The new Freemason governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney. So people have been on to this guy for a long time. And it's those familiar groups that we keep seeing, those conspiracy theories of who's behind the Great Reset and everything. But it's important to understand who these players are behind the scenes. So might as well reiterate. This is from Eamon Fingleton. I don't know who that is, but we can look into that another time. Those whom the gods would destroy, they first make mad. Although the aphorism is overused, it accurately describes the dog's dinner that British leaders have made of their society in the last half century. A good example of what I mean is the news overnight that the British government has appointed Mark Carney the next governor of the Bank of England. For anyone concerned for the British national interest, Carney has 3 strikes against him. Number 1, Canada. Number 2, Goldman Sachs. Number 3, the Bilderberg Group. So if anyone sees this caption, it says 3 Freemasons. Canada Minister of Finance Jim Flaherty, incoming Bank of Canada Governor Stephen Polotz, and outgoing Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney. So all the people who have directly been managing our financial crises for the last 20, 50 years, whatever, they're basically these Freemasons, right? Having free reign to do what they want. So let's consider first his nationality. He carries a Canadian passport. Not a hanging offense, you might think, and the Canadian people, of course, fully deserve their reputation as more than averagely decent world citizens. Yuck. We're those fake nice people, but yeah. The Canadian approach to financial regulation, moreover, has, as I have pointed out in a previous note, been a huge success. That's the pro-capitalist bullshit that you hear from some English banker motherfucker. I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but here's the thing. A clear majority of Britons want out of the European Union, and fundamental, quite tough and courageous decisions will have to be made in the next few years. More than ever, it is important that the loyalties of the governor of the central bank should not only be aligned with those of the British people, but be unambiguously seen to be so. What this guy doesn't understand is this guy is completely aligned with British interests. Like, he's not really doesn't really have Canadian interests at heart, which is why him being the first Canadian ever to be installed as governor of the Bank of England, it's because he's such a loyal dog to the King of England. That's why, right? He's indistinguishable from a British tool, right? So, but the ironic thing about this Mark Carney in 2025 is what's happening in Canada right now can kind of be seen as a bit of an echo or a parallel can be drawn with this Brexit situation, because you might call it Canada's Brexit from the US.
Yeah, y'all wildin'.
But that's the problem, right? It's not just like the UK does this Brexit, right? And then it still does a lot of collaboration with the EU. A lot of this is theater, right? I'm not sure if it's this article. This says that he wants to erect a holographic wall around Canada to make it look like they're defending Canada, but then they're going to let like Trump walk right in. Basically, it's a different article.
Looks like the Democrats and the Republicans.
Yeah.
In the background.
So let me just find where I was here. So in the circumstances, a British passport would appear to be a minimal job requirement. That's thinking of a nationalist, right? But don't understand that capitalism doesn't actually give a fuck about nationalism. It just likes to use it. So then there is Carney's Goldman Sachs connection. He served the firm for 13 years in New York, London, Tokyo, and Toronto. Yes, things could be worse. He might have been a don in the Sicilian mafia or a bagman for the Colombian drug cartel. No, okay. Working with Goldman Sachs and the people like Donald Trump and all these like New York and London and Tokyo bankers and everything, wherever you literally are the mafia. You are a drug cartel. You are not any different. They maybe can be considered in a technical sense separate organizations, but they work together to control the world. So they're all one big club and you ain't in it, right? But for anyone who knows how the world really works, a career of rising success in an outfit like the latter-day Goldman Sachs does not smell right. Well, like a decaying body, right? So for nearly 3 decades now, Goldman Sachs has brazenly thumbed its nose at its previous reputation for probity. In plain language, its ethos lately has been that anything goes, provided only you stay out of jail, which is how they're running the economy. So,
ooh, you know what that sounds like to me, Michael? And you're probably not going to even understand this reference. It's okay when they do it. It's a problem when we do it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where that comes from.
Don't worry about it, baby. They got it in the comment section. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you got it.
I'll tell you later. I'll send you the video. Look, you know, me and you, we got each other. We keep each other fluent in different cultural references and stuff. It's all good.
Well, that's that socialism for the rich and capitalism for the poor, right? So.
Or individualism.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they teach us individualism, and then what do? They have
they call
their
it
class
rugged.
is so organized against us, and they fight the class war very consciously while convincing us to be those individualistic, whatever, dream chasers.
They call it rugged individualism for the poor, and what do they call it for the rich? I forgot what was the term. I can't remember what it was.
Well, like an individualism term for the rich, or like
No, it's just like they. I have to look it up, but I can't because something's wrong with my computer. But can I take this one moment just to um you know how we spent an hour just kind of venting about what was going on in our personal lives, what we were dealing with. You know how we kind of do that every now and again. So I just want to acknowledge antediluvian atheist. He said he's sitting outside a disciplinary meeting right now, workplace bullying. So I just wanted to let him know that he is not alone. I'm not even sure if it's he, she. They are not alone.
It's they. So it's just
It's
those disciplinary meetings are often another form of bullying. That's the big problem with those, right? It'd be nice if we could have people doing the bullying actually have some accountability. But when disciplinary meeting is used to further bully the victim, that's not really what needs to happen. So.
And just to let you know, Mastermind is here in the building. So yeah, I just wanted that to be known, and we can get back to. Oh, it is a lot going on in the chat. Y'all, look, y'all been commenting too much. I can't do it. I could try to go back later, but because I was trying to hold on to that comment because I knew I wanted to let my antediluvian atheists know that we saw them. So all those comments came afterwards.
And hello, John Kemper. It's a little bit of speak of the devil moment. Jacqueline was just saying, I thought Rondo and John Kemper would have joined us. And then
look, you see how she spoke him into existence? That's awesome. Okay, so let's get back to your article.
Yeah, so Goldman Sachs' flexible approach to ethics, right? They're not thieves like who was that? Sean Wesley. We were just saying that. Yeah, Wesley. They're not thieves and cheats. They have a flexible approach to ethics, right? So, so Goldman Sachs' flexible approach to ethics has also been central to the disasters that have befallen the citizens of Greece. Yeah, if anyone doesn't know about the Greece debt crisis, whatever, you got to learn about that. Helps explain what the hell the European Union is and how it behaves. But to be fair, Carney has not been implicated in either the Paulson or Greek scandals. But if Wikipedia is to be believed, he was on the scene in an earlier flap when in the late 1990s, Goldman played a two-faced role in advising investors in Russian bonds. So, right, these people have been behind like everything. So they are guilty as guilty can be. So let's, find some guillotines, I think, for these people. So in Minecraft. That said, what concerns me more than anything is Carney's spell in Goldman Sachs' Japanese branch. After 27 years of studying the Japanese financial system from a vantage point in Tokyo, I claim some expertise, whoever this guy writing is. Japan's Kyoiku mamas, education mothers, have long counseled their sons that gentlemen do not take jobs in the Tokyo securities industry. This is kind of going on a little bit, my apologies, but thus recruiters from firms like Nomura, Daiwa, and Sumitomo's subsidiary have long scraped the bottom of the educational barrel. What is less well known is that foreign securities firms in Tokyo rank even further below the salt. They do the work that even Japanese securities firms consider beneath them. Ethical Western investment bankers posted to Tokyo are often appalled by what they are expected to do and want to take the first plane out. If you say so, but I don't really I think ethical Western investment banker is an oxymoron, at least, right? That is not a real thing. Okay. Perhaps Carney was appalled too, but there's no record of this. Then there is Carney's Bilderberg connection. This is probably the most concerning connection. So, founded in the Netherlands in the 1950s, the Bilderberg Group is ostensibly merely a top careerist mutual aid society. Like we're saying, they fight the class war very consciously. Nothing more than the Freemasons on steroids. Carney is officially acknowledged to have attended the most recent Bilderberg meeting, which is interesting as the British Finance Minister George Osborne, who appointed him to the Bank of England, is an avid Bilderberger. For the British national interest, there is more here than mere mutual back-scratching. The Bilderberg Group was founded by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, a German-born, erstwhile Nazi, noted throughout his life for his everything is relative approach to ethics. The group's main aim in its early years seems to have been to rehabilitate Germany, and to this day the group is viewed in Europe as a tool by which a crypto-mercantilist, Germany Incorporated, promotes the careers of those it smiles on. Basically, you are received into the Bilderberg Group if the powers that be in Berlin, Munich, and Stuttgart consider your views helpful to the German national interest. The trouble is that Germany's advantage very often proves to be someone else's disadvantage. What I find interesting about this little tidbit here is Carney is part of this Eurasia group, like investment firm, not just this other group that we were talking about. What was it? Brookfield Asset Management. He was also involved with this Eurasia group, and that is suspiciously. It seems like a lot of this LaRoucheism that we've been seeing in some of these leftist circles, so-called leftist circles, that's being promoted. This Schiller Institute kind of narrative. He's big into investing in like nuclear power. So that those people selling that kind of stuff, while some of them may appear to be independent, maybe socialist or something, I think we have to be very, like Jose Vega, yes. I think we have to be very cautious of these people. Do not really trust them. I don't think that they are trustworthy. But if you, maybe other people have known them personally or longer than I have, but I think we got to be worried about these technocrats pretending to be communists or friendly with Russia and China, because they're not really. So, I think that was basically the end of that. Yeah, Harvard educated. So, just wondering what's more important to share, what to leave on the cutting room floor, so to speak, here. So
it's kind of hilarious you said that. It's like,
I think maybe just one last article, and then we can finish off with some of the videos that you were sharing.
No, I can't share. I don't know what's going on with this. I'm surprised I have StreamYard up.
Oh, did you get you got your way?
You know what I had to do? I had to hit stop cam, and then the avatar came up. So I don't know what's going on with my camera. Maybe my camera just stopped working. I don't know. I have a webcam, but I'm going to have to test it out later.
Yeah.
Like, how was I supposed to know?
Well, hopefully we can resolve that issue.
Yeah. How was I supposed to know that was going to happen?
And Curtis Yarvin. I remember, thank you for Yonina for mentioning that. I remember watching The Political Matrix when they were talking about Curtis Yarvin. I'd never heard of him before, but what young Morpheus was saying in that episode, I forget what it was called, it was very informative about what kind of a person Curtis Yarvin is. And yes, they are this dark enlightenment, I think, is that the kind of philosophy of the ruling class. This pulling us into the singularity, to force this technocracy on us, this transhumanism and stuff, whether we like it or not. Like, that's kind of where those people are going, and we do not want to be dragged into that. But it seems like that's what's happening. So this article is from the CanadianDimension.com. I think it's a left-leaning publication. So he says, I read Mark Carney's book, So You Don't Have to. Carney's commitment to shoring up the neoliberal status quo will only undermine Canada in the long term. This is written by James Hardwick on March 10th, 2025. Sovereignty has become the single most important issue of this now finished election. The nation's response to threats of annexation from our southern neighbor has superseded everything else, pretty much. President Trump's aggressive posturing, including his tariff threats, public insults, and general bellicosity, has turned Canada's political landscape upside down. Conservative Pierre Poilievre has lost momentum, making what once appeared to be an easy win for the Tories into a genuine political contest. I've mentioned how that's kind of suspicious to me, but possibly there is some genuine, I don't really know. But the greatest beneficiary of this tumult is a Liberal Party and its newly minted leader, Prime Minister Mark Carney. With American threats looming large in the public consciousness, Canadians are reflecting on what a possible Liberal victory might mean. Carney could be more responsible for far more than maintaining national independence. He is positioning himself to govern a free and independent Canada, and his decisions could shape our lives for years to come. Fortunately, we don't have to rely on campaign literature to discern Carney's vision for the future. The decades he spent in both the private sector and the public service, as well as his 2021 book, Values, Building a Better World for All, offer insights into the political imagination of the central banker who would be prime minister. Carney's storied career falls on both sides of the private-public divide. He cut his teeth with some of the most predacious financial firms in the business. We already talked about Goldman Sachs and the real estate investment giant Brookfield Asset Management we talked about. So when he moved into the public sector in 2004, he joined the Federal Department of Finance, where he orchestrated the sell-off of billions of dollars of public assets. So much of a communist that he's orchestrating the sell-off of billions of dollars of public assets. Anyway, in 2008, in the wake of the Great Recession, Carney became the head of the Bank of Canada. In 2013, he moved across the Atlantic and became governor of Bank of England. Seeing which way the wind was blowing, Carney built himself a reputation as a strong advocate for a well-regulated monetary system that prioritizes low inflation and market stability. Well, you have so-called low inflation, but you don't have market stability because I forget the quote exactly, but when you make the measure mean everything or whatever, it becomes not meaningless, right? So when their only definition of a healthy economy is inflation within 2%, and they do everything to make sure that that is the one thing that they achieve, the measure becomes meaningless because it's the only thing that they're focusing on. So I butchered that a bit, but that is exactly the problem with that approach. So as a central banker on both sides of the pond, Carney did his part to maintain a low-friction status quo suitable to the long-term interests of big business. He writes with pride of his accomplishments and believes firmly in the basic soundness of our economic system and the role central banks play as a stabilizing force within it. So he's a true, capitalist blue blood. So Carney left the Bank of England in 2020 and moved to the United Nations, where he served as the special envoy for climate action and finance. He speaks and writes passionately about the environment. He believes in the reality of human-driven climate change and the risks it poses to life on this planet. And yet he also somehow, paradoxically, believes in the miraculous, wonderful, capitalist, whatever propaganda that capitalism is good for the planet, that capitalism is not a risk.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Jacqueline says, does stability mean where the monopolies control everything?
Yeah. It's like, a heart that doesn't beat is also stable, if you want to put it that way, right?
And I kind of really love this one. John Kemper says, I like how everyone wants the West gone.
Even the West doesn't care anymore.
I'm ready for the petty. I'm
It's
like, China, bring it. Everybody bring it.
I feel like this is how you act when you are suicidal as a ruling class. Like,
say it again.
You don't completely gut your own economy and your own nation to the point where you permanently handicapped your working class. Like, that's not how you have a sustainable capitalism. Like, that's not how you, I don't know. I guess I don't know.
But they're still like barreling through. Like, I believe everything he's saying, and I'm like, what? Look, I have to walk away for like 2 or 3 minutes because my mom's knocking on the door. I'll be back. Okay.
Okay, no problem. I'll just
Okay.
finish up.
Okay.
Okay, jumping back in. For Carney, climate change is basically an engineering problem, one that can and should be addressed through technological innovation fostered by market incentives. He claims investors are already in the process of divesting from environmentally destructive companies and redirecting towards green capitalism. A new, sustainable financial system is being built. It is funding the initiatives and innovations of the private sector. Carney believes that government's role in addressing climate change should be to support a supposedly already established market transition. The best approach, Carney says, is a revenue-neutral, progressive carbon tax. He goes so far as to say the Canadian federal carbon pricing framework is a model for others. So the Canadian Liberals just dismantled this carbon tax under pressure from the Conservatives, and he seems to have been a champion of that whole framework. But let's all just quietly ignore how much of a failure this guy's policies were and will continue to be, because we don't need to know what truth is, because we like to have our heads buried in the sand, because that's the most Canadian thing of that's what defines us as Canadians the most, is how little of a spine that we actually have. So although he has since distanced himself from even this milquetoast response to climate breakdown, Carney's limited answer to global warming is emblematic of his approach to politics generally. He truly believes that the status quo just needs a few tweaks on the margins and everything will be just fine. Like I said earlier, or at least that is how he portrays himself. And people are apparently stupid enough to believe that. So Carney freely names the flaws inherent in neoliberal capitalism: environmental catastrophe, the formation of oligopolies, increasingly turbulent markets, unequal exchange, world historical levels of income inequality. He is also able to articulate their destructive effects on the lives of individuals in the broader social fabric. So he knows exactly what's wrong with what he is doing, and he continues to do it anyways. I do believe we call that psychopath, mentally ill, needs to be institutionalized because he is a danger to himself and to others. Very literally. I am not just saying that. But as long as people would rather gaslight me instead of do what they need to and lock people up like Mark Carney, right? But we have to agree on who to lock up in order to actually get them locked up, don't we? So, but his solutions are incapable of addressing the root of the problem. When he talks about wealth inequality, he avoids discussion of closing tax loopholes and increasing taxes on the rich. In fact, he advocates for lowering taxes on so-called startups. When he talks about stagnant incomes, he's silent about raising the minimum wage and increasing the power of unions. When he talks about decaying social infrastructure, he has nothing to say about boosting public spending on health and education. When he talks about the dangers of a market dominated by oligopolies, he refuses to talk about using the power of the state to break up large companies that have fallen into price gouging and rent-seeking behaviors. So when it comes time to show that he has any kind of communist bone in his body at all, he does not use the power of the state to go after bourgeois, whatever, ownership of the means of production. He does everything that he can to allow them to have even greater control over the means of production. So stop believing that people like liberals have anything to do with communism. Okay. Instead, he advocates for policy solutions designed to maintain and expand the power and wealth of the ultra-rich. Carney wants to see more public money funneled to the private sector. He believes the state should fund real estate and tech companies, that Canada should maximize government investment both to support short-term economic activity and to build the physical, digital, and natural capital we need. I think that's probably, I could go on, but I may as well maybe pivot a little bit to, it occurs to me that I wanted to share this as well, because when it comes to analyzing who are actually supporting the liberals, I don't think people understand, just like the Democratic Party in the US, anybody who is actively...
Are you sure you don't mean the radical left?
Their voice is not being heard. Sorry, go ahead, Abby.
I said, are you sure you don't mean the radical left? Depending on who you talk to.
Yeah, the Democrats, the radical left, yeah.
I'm
It's
sorry.
hard not
I
to
didn't mean to
laugh.
cut you off. I'm sorry. I just wanted you to know I was back.
No, that's okay. It's good to have you
Okay.
back.
Okay.
I was just pivoting from that last article because I
Yeah.
think it kind of effectively exposed Carney's neoliberal psychopathy. But it's important, I think, but just before we wrap up here, to establish that even the people supporting the liberals are not being heard, just like the Democrats, is what I was saying. So fewer than
Yeah,
40.
John Kemper laughs and says, left? Like, even calling them left is a joke at this point.
Well, everyone, that's the thing, is we enjoy our kicking boys so much that we, even as leftists, we kind of start to hate the left because of how weak it is. But then that's part of that mentality problem, right? So because these douchebags, these assholes have made a mockery of the left, we kind of abandon our own struggle, and that's the whole point of why they did it. So we should maybe not fall for that, but it's like a little too late. So I feel
But
like
haven't we kind of? I'm gonna take this away for 1 second. But in some ways, we have already fallen for it. Like the dude that we was like, he trolling.
yeah.
You know, like in
Nice
some
liberal flag,
ways,
whatever. It's like, yeah, you fell for it. Good for you. Yeah.
in the way, like the disdain that we have for. Okay, well, I have disdain for Democrats too, but the disdain I have for Republicans is just way worse. And I'm like, I really got to stop. I got to stop.
Yeah, because they actually exploit that. Even though, like, if you want to get into it, I kind of feel the same way, that the Republicans and the conservatives have always been worse than the liberals. But even just saying that, you do them a favor, because then people fall into that lesser of two evils. Well, if the Republicans are worse, that means that in a tough spot, that we maybe should use our vote strategically. It's so unstrategic, though. That's the problem. Is if it were really strategic, whatever, you'd be getting more gains from propping up these opportunists that are opportunists, but you try and go with them anyway, because you think there's opportunity to be won with the opportunists. But
I guess basically I'm trying to say they're both worse to me, and I just don't like any of them.
yeah.
I mean, and I shouldn't say I don't like any of them. That's not the right thing to say. I don't, not respect. What is the word? I can't trust their judgment of their idea of what it is to govern our society. Maybe I should say it like that. Was that?
Yeah, you can't trust their progressive. I think I don't know if that's what you're getting at, but they sell themselves as the progressive choice, like better than the socialist alternative, because they'll actually get something done, as opposed to like this something that works in theory but not in reality, right? But this, like, I forget exactly what it's called or whatever. I was reading from the Lenin book or whatever, but it's this idea that they acknowledge the class struggle, but like not like from a bourgeois perspective, that there is a working class that is struggling for rights from the ruling class, but it like sanitizes the revolutionary aspect from the class struggle, so that we think of the class struggle eclipses the idea of an actual revolution for the nation, and that is what liberals have sold us.
Yes. I had to realize. So I hope that I clean that up right, because I don't want to sound elitist or classist or anything, because that's not me as a person. I wanted to make sure I was expressing it properly. But this is when I realized, because I was young. Okay, I told you my dad was a black Republican. My whole mother's family was Democrats, both black. But when I was living in North Carolina, I was building my house, and I would go sit at the Waffle House, because my house was right around the corner, and it was just like easiest to work over there just in case like the contractor needed something from me. I could easily just go back over there. And this was around the time where it was like 2006, 7, something like that. So it was like the whole axis of evil, Iraq. I was dumb because I was listening to George Bush and telling us that, like, oh my gosh, if we don't go over there, then they're gonna come over here and destroy America, all that stuff. And so I'm thinking I'm smart because I'm delving into foreign policy and making sure I'm aware of what's going on. And the ladies at Waffle House was like, girl, I ain't got time for that shit. I'm just trying to figure out how my light bill gonna get paid. How are my children gonna eat?
Yeah.
And it made me come to a realization that, oh, I never really had to think about that because that wasn't my upbringing. I didn't grow up like that. I always had lights on, food in the house, cars,
Yeah.
clothes, everything.
Granted, how people don't care about like the bigger world around them because they don't have the luxury, right? It's when you have not lived that way, it's very easy to misunderstand
Very,
people in that.
very easy to misunderstand.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I heard someone say it, a light bulb went out in my head and I was like, oh, yeah, you know what? It is people out there like that. Like, why I'm stuck in this little bubble that I created for myself because that was the life how I grew up, but that's not the life everybody lives. And I need to get out of this bubble and have empathy because I could have went the other way easily. So I don't know.
Well, it's all good.
I don't know. It's just hard for people to like get out of their bubble and realize. And I was young. I was young when that happened, and I'm glad I was young and was able to get out of it quicker than a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
I mean, once upon a time, I was kind of the same way, thinking that like Assad in Syria was a dictator that needed to be deposed, right? Before we woke up, right? This is when we were asleep, and this is why woke actually matters, right? Because you actually do have a transition, a paradigm shift when you learn like the importance of class consciousness and this stuff. I think that's like the thing about the foreign policy stuff kind of doesn't matter. Just need to put food on the table. That might be fairly called economism, where you're kind of acting like politics is not really important. It's economics at the end of the day. The economic struggle that we need to, like our own economic struggle that we need to focus on. And while that seems like, it seems intuitively like the right thing to do, to not waste our time on idealistic politics or something, it does get to be like the wrong thing in the long run. It's like if you want to actually resolve the issues with your personal economic problems, you're going to have to understand the connection between the politics and the economics. They're not separate spheres. So.
Yeah, and I also think there was like a time when I was younger than that where I did understand because like where my grandmother lived and stuff, even though I didn't live in a neighborhood like that. So I kind of did have that, but then somehow something, it's like I just think of like a celebrity who's so far removed from regular people. Not saying that was me because I'm no celebrity or anything, but I'm just trying to make a comparison of how after I graduated, got a job, and was in in the same class as what my parents raised me in, how I just had no concept of how other people were living because they weren't around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not your fault that you don't know. Like, that's ignorance is innocent in that sense. Like, you can't really be blamed for what you don't know. It's what happens when you do learn the way that other people live and what you do with that information. Because a lot of people are they're unaware, and then they become aware for whatever way, and what they choose to do with that information is, well, I don't care. It doesn't matter how other people are living. That sucks for them, doesn't it? That sounds like a you problem, right? Like that kind of. That's not the reaction. That doesn't. That's how you prove you're not a good person, when you react that way. But I see Jacqueline's heading out here.
I was just about to. I was waiting for you to finish your statement so we could say goodnight to Jacqueline. And Jacqueline was sharing a website on X. There's no way for us to like click on it, but we could put it up. I don't know what it is.
She was saying she was scrolling through Twitter. The Mayday scenes from Havana, Cuba look awesome. Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Okay.
Happy International Workers' Day, everyone. The real one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying goodnight to you, Jacqueline. She is a treasure, isn't she? All the way from France, right?
No, England, the UK.
Oh, she's in England? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe been to France.
I spent a lot of time in France. So maybe that's why I assumed she was in France. But anyway, everybody's saying goodnight. Should we say goodnight?
I was just thinking, I think we could leave it there. Kind of covered, at least managed to mention the headline of that last article I shared. I think that's probably one of those articles that the headline kind of tells the whole story. Like, fewer than 40% of 400,000 registered liberals voted in the leadership race. So,
if you want to go through it real quick.
It's just like, we don't need to go through the whole thing. I was just gonna just trying to hammer the point home that this is not who Canadians want as our leader. Nobody actually wanted this guy. And so, like, let me just read this. After the Liberal Party boasted in January of signing up nearly 400,000 registered Liberals, only about 38% of them made it through the verification process and turned out to vote in the race that elected Mark Carney as the party's new leader and Canada's next prime minister. The party said 163,836 people successfully went through the authentication process. Of those, 151,000 voted in the race, or 93%, which is the percentage the party is using for turnout. So this is how they claim that they are popular, democratically elected, but they are not, right? This is 38%. This is a recurring theme I've noticed. It pops up to me. I see these numbers. I take notice of them. This is called the secretary problem. 37% is the number that is always the secretary problem. It's like any more than that, and maybe I should look up that real quick, whatever. But any more than 38%, and it's the optimal.
Why are you? Oh, I was going to say, why are you looking it up? I just wanted to say, Snorky been lurking in the dark. I see you, Snorky.
Oh, hey, Snorky. Nice to hear from you. So the secretary problem demonstrates a scenario involving optimal stopping theory that is studied extensively in the fields of applied probability, statistics, and decision theory. So I'm telling you, these people know about these kinds of things, and they're applying this all the time, because the secretary problem came up with Joe Biden too, with his ratings. So it's also known as the marriage problem, the Sultan's dowry problem, the fussy suitor problem, the Google game, and the best choice problem. Its solution is also known as the 37% rule. The basic form of the problem is the following. Imagine an administrator who wants to hire the best secretary out of n rankable applicants for a position. The applicants are interviewed one by one in random order. A decision about each particular applicant is to be made immediately after the interview. Once rejected, an applicant cannot be recalled. During the interview, the administrator gains information sufficient to rank the applicant among all applicants interviewed so far, but is unaware of the quality of yet unseen applicants. The question is about the optimal strategy stopping rule to maximize the probability of selecting the best applicant. If the decision can be deferred to the end, this can be solved by the simple maximum selection algorithm of tracking the running maximum and selecting the overall maximum at the end. The difficulty is that the decision must be made immediately. So sorry to kind of bore you with that, but
No.
that's exactly
Basically,
what they're using. Like,
basically, Snorky's saying, well, I thought the only way you could become a prime minister is to have dual citizenship with Israel and Canada.
no, actually, funny thing, Carney had dual citizenship with Ireland and I think England, and he renounced those citizenships, I think, very recently. So, gotta sell all Canada's freshwater to the Nestle Corp first. Yep, I really worry about what their plans are, but I gotta not be too worried. So.
Oh, Nestle, they already took over California. All the aquifers in California are over with. So I guess they got to move on to blame Canada.
Yeah, I think
you have to laugh or else you're gonna cry. You know.
Yeah, I think we could end there though if you like. I actually you shared me that now that you're mentioning that blame Canada whatever. I remember you shared with that video you. I'm trying to think of it now. This is always a bad idea.
I have a slew of videos I sent you, but
something about
what's going on with this phone, with this computer. I just can't bring anything up.
It was like a music video, and the guy was like, "We sipping on our coffee, we slipping in a snow." If you know what I mean. It was like that.
Who knows?
You shared that video about that Danny Glover guy with the "This Is America" music video. And then Canadian parody of that. Yeah.
It was a parody. Okay, so for you guys at home, Michael had never seen the Danny Glover video, This Is America. And I was explaining to him how nothing has come out this profound since the Super Bowl with Kendrick Lamar. This Is America is like the thing that has come out that profound. And since the early 90s, the early 90s was when we had some real revolutionary black music. And the white music industry said, fuck all that. And made sure everything was just, it was degrading, disgusting the entire time. And somehow Danny Glover came out with This Is America, and the symbolism in it is crazy. From wearing pants from the Jim Crow characters to just everything in the symbolism behind him dancing. It was Childish Gambino, that's his name. Thank you, Mousy. All I can remember was Danny Glover. I don't know why. Oh, and thank you, Sean. Oh, it is Donald Glover. It's not Danny Glover. Danny Glover is an actor. It's Donald Glover.
Very close
Thank
name.
you. Very close name.
We have to be forgiven for mixing them up.
Yeah. But there was so many parodies on that video. Like they did, this is Jamaica, this is Uganda, and somebody did, this is Canada. It was so many of them. Like the influence that Black people have on the global society is undeniable.
Yeah.
They can say all they want, but you can't tell me that other people are doing stuff and then everybody around the whole world is trying to copy it. No, only with black people. So there we have it.
Well, I wish we had that video to share. Now that we were talking about it for a few minutes there, but I don't remember.
Might be able to pull it up.
Yeah, because we
And
kind
we
of
could leave out with
could
it.
use.
I just can't pull up. I can't pull up
Always
my
nice to have something
email.
to close with.
I can't pull up my email with all those with all those videos that I sent you that I wanted to share. So maybe.
Well, if we can't find that one in time, maybe I got a couple of the other videos you shared with me. We could close on something different.
I got it actually.
All right, cool. It was
But
we
I'm
were
not
talking
sure
about
which one. It's like a
election.
bunch
I
of
think
them.
that makes a good closer because it's like this is Canada, or whatever. This is what you get, what you pay for, kind of thing, right?
Oh, it's this one. Okay. Because there's a lot of them actually. Okay, so let me present.
And check out Mouse's. Let me see if I can't find that link again. Just
Mouse, can you share the link?
He did it earlier. I've just got to scroll up here. So
Mouse has such an interesting. He used to live a block away from Danny Glover. Oh, Amiri Baraka? Don't say that. And
And is that Amiri Baraka related to Ajamu Baraka? So when you look into these families are often quite connected. It's a small world after all, you know.
Are you talking about the last poets that like they had an album? It's like blue, like royal blue and yellow. Please tell me that's what you're talking about.
I'm not.
I can't even show my video to show you the album because I got that album. My daddy didn't play.
Oh, there you go.
I got the album, boo.
There you go. Yeah.
I think they're called The Last Poets.
I don't know.
Well, let me see if he answers. All right, so yeah, I'm old friends with Amiri's son Roz. Yep, the Last Poet. Man, we play them in our living room all the time.
Well, it's nice to have such a distinguished guest.
That's awesome. Mousy, you invited to the cookout. Okay, so we're gonna go out on this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, John H. That's awesome. We are closer than we think we are. Okay, so do I have to speed up this because it's maybe if it was This Is America, I had to speed it up. Should I speed it up anyway, just in case? Just a little bit. I'm gonna change the speed to 1.25.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for hanging out. I thought we had a good show today, so hopefully we'll see you next week. Stay safe and stay sharp. Keep your head on a swivel and all that. So.
And thank you for hanging in there with us, even when sometimes we can't show up. You always show up for us, and we appreciate you and love you for that.
Yeah. Have a good night, everyone. See you next time.
We're so good at hockey, we don't have any views. We ain't about the money, we're too nice for you. Sometimes we say we're sorry, when we're microwaves. We're always relaxing, our country's really great. We're so good at hockey, We don't have any blues. We ain't about the money. We're too nice for you. Sometimes we say we're sorry, but more like always. We're always relaxing. Our country's really great. Hey, this is Canada. Snow got it slipping up. Snow got it slipping up. Coffee I'm sipping up. Hey, this is Canada. Snow got it slipping up. Snow got it slipping up. Coffee I'm sipping up. Hey, this is Canada. Snow got it slipping up. Happily living up. Done with the season now. Yeah, hey, this is Canada. Cultures are various. Got forest caps. I'm an carrier. Yeah, let me just tell you this. Yeah, we love French and English. Yeah, want a new hockey bag. Yeah, we don't support the raps. Yeah, we so gola, yeah. We so dola, yeah. We got snola, yeah. Hey, this is Canada. Snow got it slipping now. Snow got it slipping now. Coffee I'm sipping now. Hey, this is Canada. Snow got it slipping up. Snow got it slipping up. Coffee I'm sipping up. Drink maple syrup now. We ain't British, but we English. Systems metric. Tim's committed. We ain't rude. We say sorry. Then we cool. Where my coat at? Good to know that. I might need it if it's freezing. God, keep her land, keep her land, keep her land. On garbage stand, garbage stand, garbage stand. Good things one after another. So come on up to Canada. It's actually pronounced Canada, but I needed to rhyme, so yeah.